Um, Already we heard from the President of the Chamber and also from Mr. Rajiv Kumar about the topic of the day. And as we created the topic for the Business IT Conclave, this is the 14th edition of the Business IT Conclave. Please go ahead. I think one of the things which we felt was that the focus on technology can't be only seen in the light of impact of technology on business. We wanted this year to focus of the impact of technology on humans. And hence this year's curation has been done with that in mind. I would probably like to kick off with a few thoughts of my own. And I think Mr. Rajiv Kumar touched upon a few very, very important points which I wanted to highlight, which are not only important from a technology perspective, but also from an India perspective. The first thing is that I think the world that we see for tomorrow is definitely going to be tech-powered, but at the same time, that same world is going to be human-led. And I think we do not see a world where the human ingenuity can be totally taken over by the ubiquitous tech that we see everywhere. And I'll tell you why I think so. We had a session on AI, and Prasun did a wonderful job. But I think my own personal view is that in AI, while there's a lot of hype, we are probably at the stage in AI like we were in internet in the late 1990s. People like us who are talking about AI today have no clue what AI will become in 10 years' time. People in 1998 had no clue where Google would be. They did not know what TikTok would be in 2020. And I think in AI we are at that juncture. Yes, it is a hype, but I think for all practical purposes I would say it is not overhyped, but it is underhyped. AI is going to change our lives. But at the same time, to say that we know how AI will change our lives is kind of going a bit too far in my mind. We heard about things like AI will solve some of our bottlenecks. It will bring in huge efficiency in some parts of our business. I think one of the things which we need to keep in mind is that while it will solve a bottleneck, if the entire supply chain is not driven by AI, it will only shift the bottleneck to another part. It is like creating a super highway suddenly in the middle of two places. You can take that highway at 200 kilometers per hour, but then you will go into another side and you will again get traffic. The other thing is something which Mr. Rajiv Kumar talked about, this entire need of GPU and CPU. I think as technology is becoming more and more available to every one of us, I think we as a country would face GPU shortage. And when we get the GPU, if we do not take care today, we as a country would suffer because we would we would be facing power shortage. The amount of power which these GPUs suck is humongous. And as we try to use more and more AI in our lives, I think India needs to solve the power crisis if it has to ride the AI wave. Right now, the power can become the more limiting factor for our AI growth as a country than just the access to GPUs. India has, of course, done brilliantly, and we'll hear today, from Mr. Sanjoy also about what we have done on the IT side. But overall, India has done a brilliant job of creating an IT superway. I think the way we have been able to bring digital into each of our lives is amazing. But at the same time, if we do not solve some of these broader issues at a policy level, at a regulatory level, we will struggle. India will take some time before things which are already happening in the West, like autonomous cars. You know, we have cars running around in San Francisco. They've completed about 50 million miles without any, fender scratch. India will take some time to get there. But if you look at India, which is having so many languages, so many different cultures, latest technology around multilingual, generative AI-based frameworks, where it can not only talk to you in different languages, it can also talk to you in different, with different feelings. You want them to talk a bit aggressive, you want them to talk a bit more softer, you want them to talk talk in a more supportive way, in a more empathetic way. All these are realities which can come into India in a big way, and I think Mr. Chakraborty talked about it, that it will solve the reach issue for us. And definitely it will change the jobs of the future. I think some of the jobs which are coming up now, like prompt design manufacturers, prompt design managers, visual artists, I think these were not even heard of, probably just a few years back. But the coding needs will remain. I think AI can probably at this stage be more of a companion, more of a co-pilot. And some of these terms are being used by some of the large, cloud providers in the world. But as a co-pilot, it will not yet become the pilot. As a companion, but it will not yet fully do the coding. And to that extent, the coding needs would continue. Yes, some of it will be taken over by AI, but we are looking at probably close to 500 million apps which would be created over the next 3 years in this world. And to that extent, the jobs will change, but some of the jobs will also remain. So with that as a context, maybe I'll, move around this August panel. We have Surinder Gupta ji from MSTC. Mr. Gupta, maybe I'll start with you. Your views around the e-commerce revolution and what you think would probably make the change in the next 1 to 18 months, 1 year to 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basu. We had a very interesting topic today, and Mr. Rajiv, Principal Secretary, IT West Bengal, has taken us through the basically evolution of mankind to mechanical revolution and now the IT revolution. Mr. Chakraborty has very well said that none of us is left untouched by IT when we are sitting here. Not only we, even the last man in the country is perhaps some way or other affected, connected with IT as on date. There's a lot of discussion, as Mr. Basu has put us across, that AI, what it will be. I agree that still we are at the tip of iceberg as far as the AI is concerned, and we never know where it will finally reach, evolve. But one thing I'm sure, any system designed by human being, human mind, cannot match the human capabilities. So, whatever technology, whatever systems we develop, it has to be controlled and it has to be led by the humankind only. Of course, in the process of evolution, there will be ups and downs, there will be uses, there will be misuses. So everything will be taken care of as we progress further, the mankind progress further. From this, being in government sector, MSTC is a e-commerce company, and we have seen the changes it can bring in the processes. We have spoken about how IT impacts us as far as the reach is concerned, as far as the efficiency is concerned. Apart from the efficiency and reach, IT is a big transparency tool. Fairness is something which is built with the use of IT. And that is what government is trying to bring today, that more and more IT in everybody's life, so that the delivery to the end mile delivery to the person standing at the end of row gets the benefit in a transparent way, fair way, and it has minimized the corruption to a larger end. So the petty inconvenience that a poor man, a illiterate man had, so those are slowly vanishing. If we see MSTC, the company was set up for import and export of scrap. It was a canalizing agent for scrap. Subsequently, it entered into selling agency business for scrap when the scrap was put in under OGL. And in 2002, MSTC took a very, I'll say, baby step. Physical auctions were changed to the manual auction. If we all know how the scrap is sold and dealt, perhaps the scrap dealer are one of the most, I'm talking of 2002. The scrap dealers were mostly illiterate person. They had a lot of money, but very limited education. We could see many of people were put their thumb impression. They couldn't even sign. But that was the kind of community who very well accepted this change. Their next generation came. Now the situation has come, and in country, there's hardly any physical auction, not only scrap, perhaps each and everything is going through e-auction mode only. Even Supreme Court has said that any government resource has to go through the auction mode or e-procurement mode. So that is the kind of revolution the use of IT has brought. So from 2002, when we started the scrap auction, after that, almost everything, minerals auctions, mines auctions, were put under scrap. We have seen a lot of controversy surrounding the allocation of coal blocks, and after the Supreme Court judgment, MSTC was engaged as a service provider for allocation of coal blocks, and there is absolutely no controversy around the process now. All mines are being sold by MSTC platform without any kind of allegations. There are bidders many times who have gone to courts, but the court has established the transparency that the processes have brought about in the auction methodology. So that is the strength of IT, e-commerce, that the processes can be built in a very fair, transparent way. Today, MSTC's volume of business in auctions and e-procurement is more than 3 lakh crore. And MSTC's business is primarily for the government sector. So that is the kind of resources being put on under auction and e-procurement by government. So that's a huge step by the government for making the total processes transparent. All kinds of minerals, the agri products. Agri products is another area where we have the people who are very end mile people, the farmers, who may not be, their education level may not be that good. So they are also very well adapting to this kind of IT-based processes. Because as the computing power has increased, the processes have been made more and more customer friendly. As Mr. Basu spoke, then language, multilingual. So all the applications are slowly being converted to multilingual platform. So the person knowing whatever language is not important. So it's not only the English or Hindi. So the person can talk to the IT systems in the language of his preference. So that is the power of IT. And another thing is now, with the spectrum auctions going on, where MSTC has contributed by allocating the spectrum 4G as well as 5G, now government is in process of allocating satellite space-based auctions, S-band, C-band, KU-band, KA-band, where the end mile will be much more important. Today we have the IT highways, lot of cable, lot of data transmission speeds are there. But the user sitting at the end, so there are the problems. Could be the connectivity I expect at my home, at my factory, is sometimes not as per my expectations. So with these space bands, last mile bands, after the auctioning, after its use in the field, we'll be able to connect everything, every machine in a factory, every equipment in a home will be connected. Sitting in your office, you can see what is happening in our homes. We can switch on the AC, we can switch off the AC. All the machines in a factory can be connected. So sitting in an office, everybody can monitor the performance. My car, if I'm driving a car, so my OEM company manufacturer can see that which are the systems which are not working in order, which are the systems which need repair. So perhaps they can give us an input that your vehicle needs to go to a workshop for a checkup or some kind of repair. So that is the kind of power it is going to bring in our hands. So these are the things, some things we can visualize as on time, as on date. But there are things which, as Mr. Basu pointed out, we cannot visualize, and they may become reality in due course. So what I can say is very interesting time ahead for the people of our generation, and especially the people who are young, our kids, our grandsons, granddaughters. Definitely they will see the much better time ahead. And I will compliment the Bengal Chamber of Commerce, who has organized such a beautiful conclave. I'm sure by all the networking and connections, we'll have a lot of input in the technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gupta. So we will go over to a technologist, and Mr. Sadashiva, maybe would be good to hear your views about, as you hear about the business side of things, the necessity of, I would say moving to hybrid cloud deployments, how different industries are, sort of adopting that. And, some of your thoughts around the best practices maybe of such deployments, maybe if you can elaborate a bit for us.
Thanks, Arnab, and morning to everyone. So interesting conversation. I just want to start with what happened in the morning today. I was taking a flight out of Bengaluru and coming here, and there was this elderly gentleman who was talking about ChatGPT to one of his grandson, perhaps. And he was saying, is there an app for all of this? And can I download this? What can it do? It was a side conversation, but that triggered a thought, right, in terms of where technologies are really coming into play today. We are talking of a lot of AI-based capability in technology space today. And the number of use cases are tremendous. Infinity is the number of use cases that you can really have. So in that context, I would just want to throw back a few things in terms of the other changing paradigms, right? As we speak about these front-end technologies, whether it is IoT in the car, or whether it is digitization across the board, or whether it is an AI tool that we have, I would go back to about 4 fundamentals that really kind of shape up all of the activities that we are going to do. I call it the DECS, D-E-C-S. The D stands here for the data part of it, right? Any artificial intelligence is as intelligent as the data that you would provide to it. And today, looking at data, there are multiple things that you need to worry about. One is the volume of data, the variety of data, the veracity of data. There's so many things that one needs to look at when you're really coming to the active data that you need to put into use. An interesting stat that might astonish you is out of whatever we generate, it's only about 4.7% of data that's really been put into usage today. So imagine if you've seen the movie Lucy, you put your brain to test and it really scales over a period of time. We are actually not doing justice to the amount of data that's there, and you could use it for intelligence. Intelligence meets innovation. Innovation meets time to market. So long activity around it. The second fundamental I see is around the edge. Edge here, I mean all connected devices. Be it the hundreds of IoT devices that you find in a car, to whatever edge that you have in your planned devices. What's growing here is when you kind of look into that phygital world between what is virtual and what is physical, you will find that you will get connected and you're creating a lot of experiences around it. How do you know that you're going to reach home early today is not by a virtue of staying in this city for this long, but what Google Maps tells you, right? Your conventional wisdom is thrown out of the window and you're looking at a map, right? You better well say that. Or you could be challenged by your wife when you say you're going to come home at 40 minutes and it says, it's 1 hour there. So you're going to create a lot of experiences, be it AR, VR as a technology or XR that we saw as a use case here. All of this essentially means that experience quotient and the amount of data that you're going to create at the edge is lopsided. You were creating a lot of data using structured data, SQL and databases and stuff like that. That's out of the window today. You're going to create a lot of data at the edges. 60 to 65% of your data is going to come out of the edge. So that's a foundational change that I see. Next is the experience that you have around consuming IT today. I think many of us have seen the cloud evolution from being something like procuring few devices, going through a life cycle there. You're essentially doing self-service. You're getting whatever you want at the click of a button. So that is an experience that's here to stay. It's going to not go down the drain. Everyone would want to do it very, very differently. And the last part around my DECS strategy is around security. As and when we open up a lot of our devices, the landscape really grows very, very big. So it's important for us to look at that landscape and figure out how you can secure your transactions across the board. Right? It's good to get an access to an application, but remember you're opening up a port, right, into that into your device. Data could be, anything and everything can happen. And in India, the entire landscape around threat and security is really, really growing. So these are the fundamentals that actually crossed my mind, Arnab, when you look at the the new age experience that we need to have. This also leads to one more thing that's happening today and very pertinent, I would feel, because Arnab brought up the word hybrid. Hybrid essentially means that your IT landscape today is moving from edge devices to the cloud. So anything in and around it is your IT landscape. The boundaries are diminishing. And a business requirement today is that your applications and data needs to reside everywhere. You can't say, I will go to the bank to get your money today. You would want the bank on your hand phone. And how many of us have really gone to the bank in the recent few days? We have never gone to the bank. So when you're talking of a spectrum like that, you're essentially talking of your IT landscape to have spread from the edge to the core and to the cloud today. So that's the given situation as we speak. But what do we have today? What do we have is essentially a public cloud experience or an on-prem experience, right? These are the two experiences that we carry. The need today, however, is to have something that manages both of this together. Your multimodal IT, as we call, your ability to work with what you have and also have the experience that you get on the cloud is becoming very, very important. That's a significant change that I see as we look at, and organizations are looking at getting that hybrid experience. So it's not the cloud, it's the cloud experience that matters. How do I buy my provisions today? I carry a bag. My son would use an app to do it. So that's the cloud experience that we have brought onto the IT table as well. So we are talking of self-service capability, we are talking of unlimited scalability of resources. So that's another change that I see as we speak of the new age applications, Arnab, in terms of how all of this is really, really transforming our lives. It needs to happen on these fundamental changes as well. So, thought towards looking at your own strategies of enabling that experience to be very good depends on how you develop your DEX strategy, right? How do you ensure that your data is relevant, you're collecting all the edge data for the right insights, how do you retain the cloud experience, and how secure you are? I think that's the big fight as we speak today, right? That's where the hybrid world comes into play. A lot of players, people coming in from the cloud side who would want to give you the cloud, hybrid experience, people who are coming from the on-prem side who want to give you that experience. So that's the battleground, that's the new Kurukshetra that you're going to see, and you'll have to decide, who's the person of choice or a vendor of choice who's going to make the appropriate decision for your business. Arnab.
Thank you, Sadashiv. And I think very interesting thoughts and something which we can possibly even think as this, revolution keeps continuing, how this will start morphing even more. But with that, I think I'll come over to Mr. Sanjay Das. Mr. Sanjay, tell us a bit about Bengal's foray into security and the security infrastructure that we have been able to create, the kind of use cases which you are looking at, and the kind of use cases which you think will help build this digital public infrastructure in a big way. Because security is something which, is always discussed, but probably the least invested in many cases. So would like to know about that.
Thank you, everybody, and I hope it is still morning, so good morning to everybody. First of all, I would start with a catch line called Daag Achhe Hain. So with that, with the advent of especially India's as well as particularly this state's journey towards a secured infrastructure in the IT domain, it all started when in 2016 we were actually engulfed with ransomware attack one after another. Between 2016 and 17, we witnessed ransomware like Petya, NotPetya, and WannaCry. Just like, I hope WannaCry was middle, and then there were two on the both sides. So, and still today, people are really worried. What were the IOCs, that incident of compromise? How long that each of the organizations took to respond. So I'd go back and tell you a real story. Like United Nations in 1954 actually created disaster management vertical. So they thought that the global change with the global changes, after Second World War, a lot of industrialization was just around the corner happening, on the verge of happening. So they understood that, the world will not be the same. By the time Hiroshima, Nagasaki was there, so a lot of, global warming and other threats to the environment were looming in every possible manner. So they thought that there should be a proper standardized process to deal with disaster. So the disaster management vertical was created in United Nations. You might be thinking why I am referring to this. Just imagine in 2004, that means after 50 years, they created the vertical called disaster risk reduction. So it took United Nations and the unity of nations 50 years to understand you cannot manage a disaster. It is far better to actually try and reduce the risk of it. So as we are speaking here, sitting here and talking about information technology, most of our devices are connected to multiple networks or redundant networks. If it is connected to my dongle in my pocket or to the free internet Wi-Fi being provided by Taj City. So, it is continuously identifying. The same with my, intent to remain connected. So the whole thing actually was the real reason behind those ransomware, because people actually went ahead to get connected without taking due precaution or didn't think twice to reduce the risk of what is going to come. So disaster risk reduction is the only way forward. Just Mr. Sadasiv ended by enumerating a lot of points, but he ended with security. So when he ended with cloud security, I would like to pick it up from there. Because today, not only the OEM-driven cloud that we are seeing, we are also witnessing an avalanche of hybrid clouds. So there is, everybody is trying to enjoy the best of the both sides. So if you go and see even in the state governments and the central governments, you would see even when people, the governments are having their own data centers, they would rather prefer for some applications the private cloud, some application hybrid cloud, some would only take database as a service for high computational value. Multiple types of things are happening. So in West Bengal, we are having a clear idea of what we are doing. Post 2016, we have been bringing out structured policy in every aspect. And with regards to security, we thought that if we do not actually take it as a business case, the security orientation will not grow in this state. So in the year 2017, we created Cyber Security Center of Excellence. It is nearly 6 years old. So immediately after creating it, we had the first national level conference on cyber security. And post that, we completely focused our attention into development of professionals in multiple fora. That means we actually invested heavily in developing startups in security, then supported a lot of professionals working individually with actually assessing the use case in the government, then handshaking with them to create solutions for those government use cases, then allowing them to conduct POC with the government data. Coming to that, government is actually sitting on tons of data, captive data, without understanding the power of it. Everybody is saying that. Every organization is trying to actually use the data, but consent-driven data usage is a threat to that. If you read GDPR, if you read CCPA, you would never touch data. Because GDPR says our rule follows our data. So if you go to CCPA, it is only penalty, penalty, penalty. So there is nothing else. In every line there is penalty. So if you really read those rules, you are not going to touch the data. So where do we stand? We have structured IT, Act. Even when everybody is waiting for the Privacy Act to come up, I would rather ask all of you here and beyond, please go back and read the IT Act and the associated rules with that. There are many, places which, if used properly, we can very well ensure that data privacy could be, actually handled in a more pragmatic way. To that, State Government of West Bengal has been the pioneer in launching a hackathon on data anonymizer. What is data anonymizer? As government is sitting on top of huge and great lake of public data or public transactional data. For that matter, let me tell you, most of the startups today are failing because they are unable to access the live transactional public data, because they are actually conducting their POC on legacy data. When they are bringing out that solution and allow the users to work upon that, then they are not getting good results, because by that time usage variance led to change of data. So it is high time we shared our public transactional live data with our children who are creating this startups and all. So how to do that? So that's why it comes anonymizer. Data anonymizer is a tool which actually identifies the attributes in an information which are particularly person oriented or personally identifiable. They are being identified and strained. That means just like a strainer, it strains just like tea leaves from the tea, and the anonymized data is created in a data lake. Let me give you an example of data lake. The Aadhaar data is a data lake. You are not giving access to it. That does not mean that it is an anonymized data, because on the other side of it, it is not an anonymized data. At the same time, we used, without knowing or unknowingly, the data lake of during our corona period, because the entire health data was collected and given to the industry for usage and community to use, and that's how we fought with it. So this anonymized data lake will actually provide the government data for the startups. And for your information, on 12th of August, we will be holding the final round of it. And before that even, we have received first, this patent from our 836 participants. So those solutions will enable our startups and organizations, industries to use government data, the data that the state government is having in its 52 departments. So these are the things that businesses can take actually note of and then start building solutions upon it. When we talk about business insecurity, often the solution providers forget about the expanse of a state government. Let me tell you, our state government has more than 3,600, that means 3600, gram panchayats. 343 blocks. Each of the blocks is having nearly 3 lakh population. 69 subdivisions, 23 districts, and more than 10 crore population. The highest amount of personal consumption in internet, the highest number of dual connectivity in telecom, the highest number of rural women folks using internet. So we are actually at the threshold of a situation of a time where if business is actually generated upon this key performance indicators, security will be another key factor to enable it securely. So that's why 5 years back there was no solution provider, no one who had an office in Kolkata. Today most of the solution providers are having good offices here, and not only that, they understood the expanse of it. Only 2-3 days back I sat with Mr. Sudeep Das of Tenable and understood how exposure management system could do wonders for, the entire network and, data centers and the connected systems and devices. So it is high time that government talked to the industry. Industry came and participated with the government efforts, and collaboratively the business ecosystem develops, and that is what is happening in Bengal.
And thank you, Mr. Das. So I know that we'll come for maybe a final comment to all of you, but before that, if you have any questions for our panel, maybe we can take a few questions. Yes, please, go ahead. Just tell us who the question is for, please, and then ask your question.
Hi, I'm Amar Agarwal and I'm a business consultant. This anybody could answer. AI, or in fact, when we come to securities, small firms, small people, they use just plain simple antiviruses, right? But when it comes to, even they have 10 people, 15 people in the organization, and there are leakages. Data, financial transactions, all sorts of things. Now I have these questions coming to me. I'm not an IT person. And it becomes very difficult for me to, help them. Because whenever they go to a higher category software company, their charges are 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs, maybe a crore or something like that. Now, how do medium-sized companies, small-scale companies, take care of all these issues that we are facing today? And now AI has become something, again, it's a big thing.
Thank you so much. I forgot to tell. Actually, just have a seat. In 2020, NASSCOM brought out a report wherein it wrote, actually, if I'm not wrong, that around 25 lakh, security professionals were needed in the country between 2020 and 2025. And we don't have 2 lakh professionals. So you understand why we are not having the 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh, because those who are actually getting graduated, post-graduated, or specific certification in security, they are working for MNCs, other countries. Work from home has done that. So most of the MSMEs, just like you are talking about, or startups, they don't have proper type of security consultancy, the thing that I'm referring to here. Similarly, in case of AI and others. So right now, what it is needed, and that's where West Bengal started the you can say revolution. 3 years back, West Bengal created diploma in cyber security, and it got AICTE approved. And this year, from 2 colleges, 2 polytechnics, 60, 60, 120, this polytechnic pass outs are coming up, and all of them have been taken up or lapped up by just startups, MSMEs, mid-sized companies of our country. So, and today, after 3 years, around 1,000 polytechnics across the country, they have adopted this cyber security diploma course. Similar things have to apply. We need to bring in this type of course curriculum, specific industry-centric courses in the polytechnic or vocational trainings, so that organizations like yours need not go to such an expensive company to actually attend to that. And with regards to privacy, I would say that if we do not collect unnecessary data, we need not protect them. But if we collect unnecessary data, just like if you ask my father's name, it is of no use to you, but you have explicitly given consent to protect my father's name. So that is how we should look towards privacy without getting frightened at, how to comply. Do not accept or collect the data. So need to know basis. If you do not have any need to know, don't know. So that is one thing about privacy, and for you, that if we start creating courses, curriculum in the school, colleges, or polytechnics, vocational level, the products will definitely attend to organizations like yours and crores of others.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I ask one?
Yes.
Hello, I'm from LTI Mindtree. Well, I have a question for all the people around here, that the theme being that we are actually looking for connected devices and we'll be presenting them to our business for acceptance. Now, in this forum, actually we are all talking about AI, isn't it? Now suppose I present a scenario to you that a company comes up with a product where it can fit it to their automobiles, which will sense using the proximity sensors, and it can trigger whether a accident is imminent or not. Okay, and it's going to give you a beep. If the person sitting behind the driver's seat is not careless, then he has to manually switch off the beep so that system understands that he has taken the manual control. If the person is not switching off the beep, then the system is going to park his car to the service lane and is going to dial the emergency services. Now suppose this is a scenario and this is a product which has been created by a company. Now suppose we have got 5 more companies who have also created product in the same lines. Okay. Now these companies goes to a set of business person. They say that, sir, we have got products from 5 companies. Now you being a business person, now suppose you don't have that much expertise in IT right now, but you have got the hunger for acceptance of technology. Okay. So what are the yardsticks based on which you would be actually accepting the product, given that there are 5 providers? Okay. Why I am saying is because in case of our Androids, we have a score known as AnTuTu score, so which actually qualifies the overall rating for an Android device. So when we are talking about the products which are created by AI technologies, don't you think there should be a consortium or a body who should be giving the rating to the product, so that the business who is coming, they should be actually looking into the ratings of that product instead of trying to digest the knowledge of AI and then trying to understand that what features are offered. So this concept of rating of AI products should also be there, isn't it? For a layman business to accept the usage. It's as good as, suppose you go to buy a car, your wife says that, I want the red color car. How about
So
you
you
say
have
that?
you have to keep the questions short. I would like to take a few more questions.
Okay.
So I think I've understood your point. So I think maybe I'll attempt to give an answer, and Sadashiv, if you can just add on. See, the technology has to mature for regulation to come in and ratings to come in. As I said before, that AI is very new, and I think it's, even the use cases are being found out as we go along the journey. So there would be different products coming in, different products trying to compete. Some would remain, some would die, some would get, sort of swallowed up by another product company. That's how we have seen most of, the digital technology innovation and the digital revolution happen, where, some companies would grab over some others, and it is a very acquisitive environment for technology. But I think we are all saying that we need regulation. We are all saying we need ratings. But for ratings to come in, the benchmarks have to be, decided. It needs to decide what we want. I think as of today, the world itself is divided as to what we want. But Sadashiv, if you can add on.
Yeah, a few things with respect to autonomous cars. I know very closely Zenseact, which is a Volvo company, who's doing autonomous cars globally, and the kind of work that's going there. So, firstly, it's about what you're going to deliver. While looking at AI per se and regulating it, you have ADAS versions that are available and conformance to those versions that really matter when it comes to technology that you really spoke of. So it again goes down to what is the requirement and what is it that you would want to achieve. And the ways and means could be varied, whether it is through AI or whether it is through intelligent data that you've collected, or it is the host of other things that you look at and then bring that intelligence onto it. So, and in terms of maturity of technology, yes, it's still a long way around. You know, we spoke about some regulations that's going to happen, but till then the chaos is going to be there, right? So in that context, you will have to kind of work that through. But let's focus on what's the outcome. You know, instead of regulating AI and doing what it needs to be done, how is it really delivering autonomous car capabilities or ADAS capabilities is what we need to look at.
Thank you, Sadashiv. I think, okay, I'll take one last question, sir, from you in the green shirt.
Can I take the question?
Okay, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question related to the certification regarding the reliability of AI systems, because some time back I was quite shocked to hear that there was a case, the Steven Schwartz in New York, who was penalized legally because he used ChatGPT and they came up with false cases. So how can this happen in an AI-related environment? And how do we know when we're using something like ChatGPT that the information we are getting is correct and not false? I think this is a very critical part of AI that we need to look at. So
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
I think with generative AI, I think you will probably have more and more situations where you can not really look at a video or look at a report or look at a document and understand whether it's true or false or whether it has been completely generated. Even pictures are, you know, fully digitally generated in generative AI, and I think regulations around reliability are still quite a distance away in my mind. As I said, we are running a bit against time because we have speakers lined up, and I think, as you were saying, that in the IT Conclave today we have sessions on connected systems, we have sessions on robotics and automation, we have sessions on infrastructure, another session on generative AI which is going to come up. So I would probably say that, you know, stay on, enjoy the day, and listen to some of these speakers who are coming up. Many of your answers would be answered, questions would be answered in those sessions, because those are more specific to this, you know, different topics. We also have a session with our colleagues from Bangladesh. We have a delegation from there who are also going to discuss some of the issues which they see in their country. But with that, Angana, if I can bring this session to a close, handing it back over to you. I will come over to you and we'll take the question offline. Thank you.
So we have come to the conclusion of the formal opening session, and I would request Dr. Chiranjeev Bhattacharya, Co-Chairperson of IT Committee and Chairperson of IT Entrepreneurs and E-Commerce Committee of the Bengal Chamber and CEO of Vizatech, to please share with us the way forward.
Thank you so much. So my sincere thanks to the learned speakers for the wonderful insights. Sincere thanks to the distinguished guests for your patience. So just to add one point on the way forward, the evolution of products into intelligent and connected devices, which are mostly today embedded in broader systems, has created a radical shift in processes, in organization structures, and relationships. Industry boundaries getting blurred, competition getting redefined. As one of our distinguished guests was speaking about. See, today, a tractor manufacturer does not compete only with a tractor manufacturer. Tractor manufacturing has evolved into farm management, leading to seed optimization, for example, soil and water conservation, irrigation drainage, and analytics. So tractor companies are actively into analytics, and the days have come when they are also competing with analytics companies. Today, an entertainment provider at home, or an AC manufacturer, or a security device manufacturer does not compete only with the product. He or she competes with a smart home provider. So with industry boundaries getting blurred, competition getting redefined, in my opinion, the way forward should be rethinking of strategy by companies. When we talk of rethinking of strategies, we need to appreciate the fact that platforms are becoming key instead of products. Competition is between systems and not between products. Connectivity is becoming more and more critical, and therefore collaboration becoming most critical. And hence, it's important for companies to start reimagining their business models, reevaluate their value chains, reconnect with customers, and rebuild organizations in terms of skills. Now, on behalf of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we would like to continue our commitments to enable and encourage MSMEs and startups. The Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry has evolved from being a platform of networking and collaboration to hand-holding businesses today. And therefore, our endeavor would be to connect MSMEs, startups with larger organizations, create support, connecting them with VCs, PEs, and other interested stakeholders. Thank you so much for everything. Arnav, would you like to conclude?
No, I think we've had quite a few deliberations. I think, as I said in the beginning, it's been my privilege to chair this session. Also, I think we have a few sessions which I think would be very, very informative for the audience. Would request you to listen to some of those. We have curated some focused discussions on AI, on connected systems, connected platforms, and the focus is, of course, technology for humans. I would probably finish by saying that I still believe that the future is going to be human-led, tech-powered, and not the other way around. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. I would request Mr. Arnob Basu to please present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Surinder Kumar Gupta. To Mr. Ranganath Sadasiva. I would request Dr. Chiranjeev Bhattacharya to please present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Sanjay Dash. Thank you. So we are closing the opening session here, and the next session, very interesting session. It is on security, what's next beyond Nessus. You are requested to stay seated, please.